Hey guys, what's up? It's Karl, and it's kind of crazy to think it's been one full year working from home, working in this YouTube spot. So I just want to share all the new updates that have kind of come. But kind of first off, if you have been having a shit year, we all have. 2020, 2021 has been a gong show. Hang in there. Hopefully it will be okay in the foreseeable future. But hopefully this video also just brings a smile to your face, and if not, it'll just take your mind off things for the next 10 minutes. So quickly, I want to chat about why I upgraded to this spot in case you're new. For 7 to 8 years, as long as I've been on YouTube, I have been creating vids in a bedroom in my parents' place. When I was in university, my bedroom always served as the place to create these videos. So when I finally outgrew all of that, you can see all the crazy stuff we have here. I needed a place to, of course, expand. I was lucky enough to find this old school loft style place. It's 1,500 square feet, so fairly large. It's all open concept. We've got the 13-foot ceilings. But unfortunately, being in Toronto, Canada, we have some of the most ridiculous real estate prices. I think in all of North America, we're definitely in the top 5. So as an example, 1,500 square feet, this place cost $800 per square foot. You can do the math. The typical price of Toronto condos goes for around $1,000 a square foot. So when I got this place, I knew that it needed work, but my overall plan was the investment in this place. And there's actually been 2 units in this building that have sold in the past couple months for around $1,050 a square foot. So if we can get something close to that when I move on to the next studio, which should be soon, I'm always thinking of the next thing, that should be some pretty decent profit. You guys can do the math. And that's kind of always been my goal, even though I'm investing into, say, myself for all of this YouTube stuff, I'm always looking to increase the maximum amount of value. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense. I know that was a bit of mumbo jumbo. You're here to see the studio tour. 1 year in this spot. We're gonna kind of break this down into the main area where I make my videos. I'm using the help of my iPad to show you guys. We're gonna start off with this spot first. It's the typical A-roll area. So I call this the trifecta because there are 3 desks, the one which you see right here, the one behind me, and the one right off to the side. So desk 1, this is where I sit down to review all the stuff, where I talk to the camera. So right now, if I just grab the closest thing, you can see I can review, say, my iPhone. I'll give you guys a quick look at what I look at. So you can see right there, A-roll camera setup. It's the Sony a7S III built into a cage on a 35mm 1.4. We've got a nice little monitor. I believe this is from LG, just to make sure I look decent on camera. The first big upgrade that came though is this massive light dome. It's a 60-inch Octa softbox, and it gives me so much soft light just because of the size. And the best part, I have built it on a Amazon Basics light stand and attached some wheels to the bottom, so I'm able to kind of slide it around my studio. So this is the main source of light. I also have an Aperture 120D that bounces light off the ceiling to give me some nice fill in the background. So quickly, I can turn that off. So that secondary light is off, and if I were to turn this one off, you can kind of see how dark it gets. So these 2 lights kind of light my studio. The microphone, which you saw, which is kind of right out of your guys' frame, this is the Sennheiser MKE600. It does live on an Amazon Basics microphone stand, and it connects to my Zoom H4n as my audio interface. This kind of just sits on the side of the table, and once I'm done shooting all of this, I just sync my audio up in post, so nothing too crazy. The desk setup, which you see behind me, I'm not going to go in depth too crazy because you've all probably seen all of my desk setup videos, but I am rocking a ProDisplay XDR using the M1 Mac Mini. Most of the accessories are from Grovemade, and because we're in this old school loft with all the natural wood exposed, I thought it would be the perfect match. You can see the desk shelves. Of course, I've got them all littered with Lego. So big Lego fan, in case any of you didn't know. My latest build was the 911 Porsche, the AT Walker up top, and the rest of the stuff on the desk, once again from Grovemade. So a lot of natural wood, like of course the monitor riser. We've got the headphone stand using the overpriced AirPod Maxes, kind of swinging behind me to complete the set. Most of the furniture here was sent over from Rove Concept. Once again, I was looking for that same theme, the white with the natural wood, so I definitely think it kind of fit everything perfectly. On this little console here, we've got more Lego, no surprises, the longest build that I ever did. So this is the Starship Destroyer, and every place or every big, I guess, move for me, every big milestone, I try to buy a piece of Lego and associate it with that. So for example, when I moved into this place, the build was the Starship Destroyer. When I got the condo that I'm currently living in now, it was the Porsche GT3 RS, which is on the opposite side, which we'll get to. Speaking of Porsche, just like Lego, I am a big fanboy. You can kind of see I swap out the posters behind me. This one specifically is one of my favorites. It's the old school Porsche 911 RS with the old school ducktail, which I absolutely love. So I swap out these pieces of art. They're from Can Vogue. They make some really cool, awesome pieces of canvas art. You can get them in kind of multiple different sizes, so definitely worth checking out. I think I have already 4 of their pieces. Highly, highly recommended for artwork. And the last desk, which is just kind of off this way, which I think most of you don't really see, maybe when I do my occasional Twitch stream. I know that I've been slacking lately. This is kind of the gaming spot, so I do have a gaming PC. It's an older build, it's a Ryzen 5, but for playing Call of Duty 1080p at 60 FPS, it does what it needs to do. I've honestly just been crushing a ton of Switch, replaying Breath of the Wild, one of the best games. If you're a Zelda fan, once again, I seem to be a big fanboy on certain things. Probably that and Majora's Mask are my all-time favorite Zelda games. I also have my PlayStation 5, which is kind of collecting dust. I don't even have it plugged in, to be honest. The one cool thing about my Switch, though, it is in this custom colorway of, obviously, orange. I did get this done by Colorware a couple years ago. For my accessories on my PC, I'm kind of rocking the Logitech combo, the G903 mouse, and the G905 keyboard, and I think that's a bit of old gum on there. That's attractive. That coupled with the Logitech Pro X headphones, and that kind of all runs through an LG ultra-wide monitor. It's a gaming monitor, not that I kind of use it for its full potential. I am also rocking a Blue Yeti microphone. It's the limited edition WoW version. I also used to play a ton of World of Warcraft in my day, so that's kind of like a nice little nod nostalgia piece. But yeah, that's kind of the trifecta desk setup, and usually when I build out new ones, it kind of switches in this location behind me. There's one thing that kind of lives off to the side, kind of right off camera to record all the B-roll, which is kind of the next upgrade that I got other than the light, which is... This guy is the Rhino Arc Ii Slider, so all of the B-roll shots are usually recorded on this guy. So this has been one of the coolest upgrades that's come to this studio. It operates like a typical slider, so it goes back and forth on the rails, but it also has this little module that can create extra shots. Because it's essentially a built-in fluid head that is motorized, I no longer need to use, say, a traditional fluid head on, say, my tripod. So I can create some of the most interesting and dynamic panning shots in just one take, and you can control it with the console itself. It has a little joystick, or you can go through the app, which I typically do. I can kind of pan and tilt, and I can use the slider, I can set a loop, and I can actually set a move using different keyframes. So for example, my first keyframe, boom, keyframe 2, boom, set. And now when I hit start, the camera will now create that exact pan, and of course I've set the duration to say 20 seconds, and it will actually loop continuously. I can turn that on or off and stop when I decide to. So that is super dope. Maybe one of the best B-roll additions, or one of the best creative pieces that I've added here to the studio. It is super, super cool. I can spend all day kind of tinkering around and creating the coolest shots with this. A couple more upgrades now that I think about it before we move on to the next section. I'm actually sitting in one right now, is my new chair. So this one is from Omega Chairs. I know chairs are just so important, and if there's one thing that I would recommend, if you do sit down in a place for 7 to 8 hours a day, if you're behind your computer, get a better desk chair. Your back, your butt, every part of your body will thank you. Or I guess thank me, because I recommended it to you to just get a new actual chair. Do not sit in a $10 piece of garbage. And the last upgrade that kind of came to the studio, just because I kind of saw it off camera right over this way, is the Ecovax Dbot N8 Pro Plus robot vacuum. Because I do travel daily between home and my studio, and I bring Link with me every day to the studio, we go on constant walks with him 3 to 4 times a day. We do bring a lot of mud and dirt back in. It's springtime, so it is a bit muddy. It's a bit dirty outside, especially when it rains. Having this robot vacuum has just made my life so much easier in the studio. I can kind of set it to turn on when I leave for the night, and in the morning when I come back, it's sitting nicely parked in the auto empty station, which just means it's less maintenance on my end. Even though Link kind of sleeps most of the day in the studio, he's kind of claimed the carpets, he's claimed the couch area as his own. He brings in a ton of dirt on his paws. I think he's sometimes a bit scared of the vacuum, but I tend to turn it on, like I said, when I leave for the day. The best part for me though, hands down, has just been the mop function, just being able to clean all of the muddy little footprints. It does also have True Detect because we're here in the studio. I obviously have so many cables littered on the floor. It's able to detect those and kind of stay away from those areas. And that auto detect area carries on to mop mode, say for carpet avoidance, because the last thing that you want to do is get your carpets wet. And I've actually sectioned off areas in my studio with its advanced mapping that the vacuum should avoid, and it's been super accurate because it's almost impossible to keep my place entirely cable free. So definitely a nice little addition to the studio, and of course helps me and Link stay clean. Okay, on to the next area. It's kind of what lives behind you guys, or behind the camera. It's the fourth desk, the quadfecta. And right now we're in the middle of this studio area, and if I actually lean this way, this is where we are just sitting, and this is where the fourth desk lives. This is where all the overhead shots are kind of created, and I've created this overhead rig using metal piping. You can see that there's a fluid head with my second camera mounted. So any overhead shot that you see on the channel, this is kind of where it's created. It's sitting on a standing desk, With that, you kind of have the versatility to raise or lower it. I also have these panels here which kind of make the backgrounds a bit different. So these are just different colors. So for example, here, I've just got this one in black marble. On the back of it is white marble. I've got an orange one. I've got wood ones, concrete ones, just to switch up the look or the aesthetic of the top-down shot that I'm going for. The rest of the desk kind of has all the B-roll accessories, and this is where it's a bit of organized chaos. We've got books, controllers, little Lego pieces, just to make all the B-roll shots a bit more aesthetic, and obviously they're all filled with things that I like, so a ton of orange. Over on this side, this is where the little storage section is, and where I'm sitting, this is the pathway where the big light kind of moves from. On my right, I guess your guys' left, is where I have a ton of storage. So I'm just using the classic IKEA Alex drawers. I think every YouTuber has sworn by these at some point in their life. They're kind of just great storage options for a low price. And if you go full YouTuber, you can create the full desk setup hack. So if you actually have two of these with a kitchen countertop, you can create your own desk setup. So that's kind of cool. And other than that, not too much lives in the middle area of the studio because it's mostly filled with gear. So whether that be the camera, the lights, I've got these sound blankets that I've kind of built on movable rollers, just like my light stand. They're 10 feet tall. That's the big advantage of having high ceilings. So I kind of move those around wherever I'm creating my set to help with sound management because we do have a ton of echo here. Let's get into the last area now, which is, I guess, right off this way, the final desk, the fifth one in this area. Fifth and final desk, like I mentioned, I don't think we have any more room here in the studio to add another one, so this should be the finale. That IKEA hack, like I mentioned, this is what it's created out of. So it's the faux kitchen countertop. This is the faux marble finish, and it's just sitting on top of an extra pair of standing desk legs that I have. So this area I like to call set B or set number 2, and I don't use it as much as set A, mostly because of what lives behind me. I'm not in love with the overall look, but if you saw my initial studio tour, you knew that was the orange wall. I tried to fill that bookshelf with every single thing orange. I kind of loved it. It's something that was floating around through my head, but then the pandemic started. Every single thing shut down, gyms included, and I had to get some sort of fitness gear into here because I needed to hit the gym. It was my must-have. So the squat rack, which you see, is from Gorilla Fitness, and that has been here for close to 8 months now. I am now lifting weights. I am now working out at home, just like everyone is. For most part, I can get every exercise that I need to get done on this rack. You know, the biggest things that you need to lift are for legs, heavy squatting, and of course, bench press. I've got bumper plates that range from 25 to 55, and for every muscle group that I work out, I try to hash out around 4 different exercises, 4 by 10. This piece of equipment, or tech that I'll call it, is probably the most important thing here in the studio. I use it maybe most other than, say, my camera or my laptop/computer. Mental health and physical health has just kind of taken such a beating for everyone in the past year, and I feel like working out, staying active is something that was such a huge part of my life, and I think that everyone should incorporate that into their day-to-day. It sucks that we can't make it to gyms. It sucks that we cannot play soccer. We can't play sports with all our friends anymore. Trying to stay motivated has been the biggest challenge, I think, for a lot of people, and I'm just so fortunate and lucky to have this kit here. I can't recommend Gorilla Fitness fitness stuff enough to everyone that's asked about it. It's made locally, it's made here in Canada. The quality is pretty much a 10 out of 10. It kind of rivals Rogue for all you US people. Both the rack and bench feel like they're pretty much brand new as I had them on day one. Maybe my only regret was getting it in red because it clashes so horribly with the orange. That's why I try not to have it in too many shots. I think if I could redo it, I would get it in just black, gray, just keep it kind of neutral. You can see though, I've got a pretty decent collection of Sony lenses. I have the original trifecta, or they called it the holy trinity of G Master lenses. So that was the 16 to 35, 24 to 70, and the 70 to 200. That's kind of this lineup right here, but there was the new edition, the 12 to 24. So I guess the trinity has grown to a quadrinity. Not too sure what you'd end up calling that. But to be honest, most of these shots, or I guess my favorite lens has actually been with the new G Master 24mm 1.4. So most of my Instagram shots have actually been with this lens. I love the portability. I love that it's Sony's fastest lens. You get nice and creamy bokeh, and because it's a prime, it's so much smaller than any of these zoom lenses. So just carrying this around as my street photography camera slash Instagram camera, it's been super solid. And a lot of you know that I am team Sony. That was not planned, but they have improved their color science over on the A7S III, so I have been happier. And yeah, kind of looking around, I think that's pretty much the end of this studio tour. I find that I only use kind of half of my studio space. The rest of it has been devoted to storage. We've got the kitchen, we've got a couch where I can kind of kick back and relax, where Link kind of makes his own little home. He's been one of the biggest saving graces during this entire pandemic slash lockdown. I feel like everyone's gotten a dog these days. He's been a ton of work, I won't lie. He has been a nightmare sometimes, but on the other hand, he's just a cute little guy. We'll show off a few tricks on camera, hopefully. Paw? Paw? Oh, good boy. Good boy, Link. Yep, sniff that up. It's like cocaine for dogs. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this condo tour slash studio tour. I guess it's technically a studio within a condo. Honestly, hope you're all just staying safe. I know depending on where you live, you might still be under lockdown. We ourselves in Toronto have just gotten another 28 days in lockdown zone. So yeah, I honestly hope we can all just get through this. You know, hopefully you can all find the silver lining in a couple things that you enjoy. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think we're gonna head out for another walk, and yeah, I'll catch the rest of you in one of my next ones. Peace. Link, say bye. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.